Hey guys, welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Today is going to be a great episode. I actually have a guest that's going to be with me today. His name is Chuck Parish. Chuck is a great friend of mine. He's been on the episode or the podcast a few times now, but in this particular episode, he is going to talk about his recent trip to Israel, and he's going to talk about some of his experiences, but not only that, some of the powerful lessons and emotional lessons that he learned on this journey. And one thing that Chuck wanted me to share before we jumped into this episode is he talks about standing at the side of the Temple Mount. And in the episode, he says this is the place where Jesus was tempted by Satan to turn the stones into bread. He knows that it is actually not the case. This is where he is talking about where Jesus was tempted by Satan to throw himself off. And so anyway, he just wanted me to clarify that. This is a powerful, powerful episode. Get ready. If you've listened to the other episodes with Chuck, you better buckle up because he's got some good stuff. Get your notebook, get your pen clicked, get ready to go. Let's jump in. Hey guys, welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. This is the very first episode in the Well Podcast recording studio. And you know what? I got a great friend with me today. And I'm Chuck, I gotta set you up, all right?
All right, bring it on.
So last year, me and you recorded an episode, and in that episode, it was the highest listened to and most downloaded episode. And now you are the first person to record in the Well Podcast recording studio. All right, so you got
bring it on. We got numbers to hit.
The expectations are high, Chuck.
Folks, this is where we need those cards and letters to come in. You'll see the number on the screen.
There you go.
we need to go in that mode, right?
Go in that mode. There we go. So Chuck, you've been on. Actually, this is the third time you've been on with me. Second or third?
I believe
time.
so. It's third, yeah.
So for those that don't know who you are, kind of what do you do? Like, what's your background?
My background, I have probably 33 decades, a little over 3 decades of leadership coaching and training, and that is everything from the healthcare setting, long-term care, and activities with dementia and Montessori training, and that includes nonprofit work. That also includes ministry and pastoral roles, and I'm a pastor now.
Yeah.
And also do coaching and training, and I'm I love that question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just reframe this a second. All right.
Reframe it, Chuck.
I love the question, and my wife, Baby Cakes.
What's her? I was going to say, you got to tell them her name now.
Baby Cakes. She knows, like she has this look that she knows when this question comes. I love this question. That when people say, "What do you do?"
Mm-hmm.
All right, or maybe maybe like it's Christmas time and you're going to be bumping into people that you haven't seen. Maybe somebody you graduated with. You'll be doing something, and and oh, hey Cory, what are you doing now? Yeah. What do you do? Isn't that a cool question?
It is.
And immediately our typical response is we give them our title, and we give them a degree we've earned. So technically you could say, well, Chuck, what do you do? I'm a pastor. Chuck, what do you do? I'm a corporate experience coordinator. Work with a wonderful healthcare company that we develop and grow our leaders. I didn't answer any of your questions.
Mm-hmm.
When we say what we do, that comes out of our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
See, what we do has nothing to do with our title and our position. Our title and position simply gives us the vehicle to perform what we do. So for you to ask me what I do, Cory, I help people discover their purpose and then equip them through a process of coaching and walking with them, and whether it's mentorship, but help them discover the potential that's already hidden within them to fulfill that purpose. That's what I do every day. Now, sometimes I'm wearing a corporate training hat. Some days I'm wearing a pastoral hat. So there are different venues that but that's what I do. I wake up and do that every day.
Yeah.
My grandsons, I've asked them 2 questions throughout their life, 12-year-old and 6-year-old now, and I have another one on the way. But
come on.
Inevitably, they will ask, when I see them, they'll go do something. I'll say, what was your favorite thing And what did you learn that you didn't know before? Like what's something you didn't know till after you did that? So they kind of know when that's coming, and it's funny. They'll go, Poppy, I know.
Yeah.
Like what, and they'll just give you an answer just to kind of get through it. But what's happening is you're planting the seeds that they have purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to discover.
Yeah.
And here's what you're going to learn. Your purpose, you will discover it at an intersection. And it's the intersection of the thing that makes you angry or breaks your heart and the way you would fix it. When you see things that used to bother you, when there's things and they no longer bother you, you need to worry about that.
So when that stirring no longer there, that thing that used to, okay. So back up just a second. A couple things I heard you say.
Okay,
Chuck.
I took off. I'm sorry.
No. I want to clarify this because
welcome to the well.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of times people get their purpose from their work. And what you're saying is, no, you find your purpose and then you find your work. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. I like that, and I like what you said. You help people discover their purpose. And I like that question too. I like to just, people, well, I do, I'm a physical therapist or whatever. And, but you want that little shock and awe factor, you got to go with something different. And so I like to say I build leaders and transform culture. That's what we do, right? And that comes from purpose. I like that. So how does one go? I cut you off. How does one go about finding their purpose? You started down that route. You talk about that intersection. And then that thing that no longer stirs within you. Now we got something to worry about. How do you discover purpose in?
That's one of the hardest that is a question that is asked. How do I even know my purpose?
Yeah,
because you can get so frustrated, because you don't know. And what happens when you don't know purpose? All right, let's just lay a little groundwork. All right, when you don't know purpose. Miles Monroe said it this way. He was one of my he was my academic mentor. He was really the first leadership, personal development, growth coach, and person of faith that spoke into my life. Very influential in it. And he became one of my academic mentors. And he would say this. He'd say, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Inevitable.
Wow.
When you don't know the reason of something, you will abuse it. Now, abuse is a compound word. I've created a compound. Hey, welcome to my world. I call it a compound word. And abuse means abnormal use.
Yeah.
When you use something for something other than its intended purpose, you're abusing that object. Yeah. So people live lives in search of purpose, and they abuse their lives.
Yeah. So if I don't know I'm just going to take it to. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No.
Like teenagers and high schoolers or whatever. If I don't know my purpose, if I don't know the purpose of the thing, then I will abuse the thing. And so if I don't know the purpose of my life or my body, I'll use it in abusive ways, or I'll put it in abusive situations or scenarios. Is that kind of what
you will abnormally use and live your life?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you don't know what it's really for. People will be in an abusive relationship because they don't understand the purpose of a relationship.
Ooh,
they will attend an abusive church.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the purpose of church. They will. You see where that begins to go. If now I don't want to go in a real dark area here, but people will abuse children when you don't know the real intent of a child. And those so that being the groundwork. Your original question was, how do you know your purpose? That's not easily defined in a sentence. That is a process.
Yep.
That is a process. Now here we go. I'm going to lay this out. Sometimes you discover that because you're forced to. There are people that are watching this. Are the first from the studio at the well. All right, and you're thinking, well, I thought I knew my purpose. I think I know it, but how do you really know that? Sometimes you're forced into that. Sometimes you know your purpose, but you don't want to admit it.
Because there comes responsibility.
Once you know your purpose, then you're required and responsible to live it.
Yeah. I love that you said that. And I want to come back to keep going where you're going, because I've thought so many times, sometimes people will ask the superficial question because they don't want to know the real answer, because once you know the real answer, now you got to do something about it. Like, you can no longer hide behind the excuse of, well, I don't know. And so I love the fact that you just said that, because it's, if I really dig into myself, do I really want to know purpose, or do I want to hold on to my excuse of not knowing? Anyway. Yeah. That's good.
And that's the thing. And when we don't know it, then we can justify attitudes. We can justify a behavior.
Yeah.
And say, well, that's, this is just the way it is. And then it becomes our family heritage's fault. It becomes my cultural fault. It becomes my neighborhood's fault. It becomes where I was born fault. You see, because now it's not me, it's there, but your purpose is so much in your DNA. It's so much in you. And when I say you're forced into it, you can live it and get sidetracked. All right. So, here's where this happened to me several years ago. I was serving as a corporate chaplain, loved it. I love being in that setting of ministering to people with no strings attached. I'm talking about unconditional love, where you just meet people where they are, and I served as their chaplain.
Yeah.
And I was, and it was, I did this for years with a company that had a wonderful mission, still have a wonderful mission, a vision for that. And when I served in that role, here's the thing, I'm living my purpose. I didn't have it really defined.
Yeah.
But I thought I was being fulfilled in helping people. And there were days I would get home and walk in the door, and I would feel this weight kind of just settle. And there was one day I walked in, and Baby Cakes looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I just started to weep. I won't ever forget. And I walked in, I said, I would love for one time my phone to ring and it be good news.
Yeah, wow.
I would love to get a text and it be good. But every time it's, can you help? We need prayer with this. Can you meet us here? There's been this, and it was I was constantly giving.
Yeah.
And there I was in that reality. And so I began to operate and just answer that. Just do that. And I'll never forget a man by the name of Jeff Flynn.
Jeff and Marcia, yeah. Yeah, they come up here to the well a good bit.
Marcia
does anyway. I haven't seen Mr. Jeff in a little bit.
Oh, man. Wonderful boss, if you want to use that as a term, but a mentor and a leader. Matter of fact, I'm a certified Maxwell coach.
Yeah.
Started. I joined Maxwell's mentorship, Maximum Impact Mentorship in 2015.
2015.
And became certified coach. All those things through that process with Jeff. He encouraged and man just made resource. Anyway, the first time I encountered I was a Miles Monroe studier. All right, so the first time I really realized Maxwell and leadership stuff, you're like, well, everybody knows him, right? Everybody don't. But I walked into Jeff's office, and there was a Maxwell Leadership Bible on the shelf. And he was on the phone, so I pick it up, and I'm just thumbing. I'm looking, oh, man, I like this. So I got one. Anyway, that started that journey. Anyway, there was one day Jeff called me. It was time for my annual review. Called me to the office. It was time to go over that form. And we're sitting there, and you've been there. You've had your boss call you in, and it's time to do the checklist. And he's sitting there and he's going through the formal checklist. And we're going, and I'm listening. And Jeff takes it and I'll never forget. His desk was not, you sit across the desk from him. His desk was set against the wall and he just turned around like we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
He just turned around and we're sitting there and he took that evaluation and he just pitched it over on his desk. And he said, there's nothing we need to discuss on this list. You're dependable. He said, if I ask for a report, you usually have it in early.
Yeah.
If you put your schedule down, I don't have to question where you are, who you're serving, what facility. He said, there's nothing on there we need to discuss. But here's the issue. And he looked right, and then we're talking about purpose, right?
Yeah.
I'm a chaplain.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm showing up and serving every day. As a matter of fact, most folks called me Chaplain Chuck. Oh, I loved it. Chaplain Chuck is in the building.
Yeah.
And he just looks at me with care and compassion, but with brutal honesty.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he looks right and he says, Chuck, you're disconnected. And we're, that human element, like, what do you mean I'm disconnected?
Oh, yeah.
I show up every day.
So you disconnected.
I got some, I'll show you disconnected, right? But you're thinking, he said, you're disconnected. You haven't brought me a new idea in months.
Wow.
He said, everything we used to throw out, it wouldn't be a little bit. It's either an email or a phone call. You say, look, I was thinking of this. What if we tried this way? He said, there's nothing new coming out of you.
Wow. Wow. That'd be a gut punch right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
But he loved me enough to bring it to my attention.
Yeah.
And so there we were. And he said, you're disconnected. You don't bring me anything new. You do what you're required to do. I was meeting minimum expectations. I could knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
There was no growth. I'd become stagnant. And in that moment, I knew it in my heart, and I had never said it. Folks, here's the thing. When you're facing something, and you hear your own voice say it, that's where accountability. When we're talking about that purpose, when you confess your purpose, when you speak it out, it's going to require responsibility behind it. And so when he said that, I just looked at him and I said, Jeff, I'm a chaplain and I serve hurting and broken people. But I'm broken and I don't know how to fix me.
Wow. Wow.
That literally, I said, I can help fix anybody. I can lead them the path. Not that I can fix them, but you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I know the processes.
Yeah.
But I can't fix me. And with all the tenacity of a boss, he put me on a project. He said, you have 2 weeks to define your purpose.
Oh.
I want it in writing and on my desk. That was the end of the conversation.
Wow.
You have 2 weeks, define your purpose, and have it on my desk.
So what was the first thing you did after that?
It was a long drive back home. I was, actually that office was here in Tupelo.
Okay.
And it was a good 4-hour ride back to Hattiesburg.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to like. I knew all the cliches. Mm-hmm. I knew.
But you weren't looking for the cliche. You were looking for the real deal.
See, you can come up with definitions of things.
Yeah.
I can give you the definition of a screwdriver, but its real purpose is when you need to put that tool to use, right?
Yeah.
I didn't need the owner's manual. I needed a skillful artisan to take the brush and do something with it.
Yeah.
All right. So So my first thing was I began to think. And in that process, I got to a spot where I could start writing out those purposes. And here's what I wrote out. That Chuck Parish was put on this planet to honor and glorify the God that created him. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in his image, and my actions reflect his craftsmanship. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And I saw where I was falling short. And in that, to honor him and to bring glory to what he created, I was going to have to walk in my purpose. And that's where I wrote down my purpose is to help others discover their purpose. And then equip them to pursue the untapped potential that they never knew was under there.
Wow. It's good, Chuck.
And I wrote that out and I gave it back to him.
Let me ask you this. All right. So, like you said, that's a process, right?
It's a process.
It's
I know that's a lot of talking to say when you ask, how does somebody discover their purpose? It's not, you don't walk in a room and it happens. Somebody has to jar you into that.
Yeah.
No, I know I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's really good. It just reminded me of, we call them blind spots and all. And a lot of the times when we say we become aware of something, it's because somebody made us aware of something. But so up until that point, you said that Jeff, or in your performance evaluation, Jeff told you, like, Chuck, you disconnected. What changed once you discovered that? Once you wrote that out, and the moment it kind of clicked in your heart right there, like what shifted in the way because you didn't necessarily change what you did, right? Like, but what was the outcome of that for you?
That shift for me was that load that I felt. I said the trigger for me was I knew the moments of my becoming disconnected, and I said when I come in, baby cake's asking what's wrong, and I want a good phone call. Like somebody call me with some good news. That was my humanity talking.
Yeah.
That was the load of that. All right, but once I realized how I was made, whose image I'm created in. Yeah. And everybody tuned in. Whatever notion you subscribe to, the reality of it is you were created for purpose. Look, there's nobody on this planet that's a lab rat looking for a piece of cheese. Now, we feel that way.
Yeah.
Now, don't misunderstand me. Those of you like, well, you don't know my life. You don't know my job. You don't know my I don't. Life will feel like you're a rat in a maze looking for cheese. Matter of fact, that's so much so, there's a leadership book. Who moved my cheese?
Who moved my cheese?
Because you think people just keep moving my cheese.
Yeah.
That's not the point. See, you're not a rat looking for cheese. You have purpose.
Yeah.
You can't fall into that trap. Okay. So what did I change? What happened there? Once I realized how I was made, that load that I was feeling, I was misplacing it. It was about me.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it was about, I want to feel good.
Yep.
And I was missing what would actually make me feel good. What would actually was for me to live in my purpose. And if that is part of it, then one of my key values, that one of my core values that Chuck Parish holds on to is compassion. Mm. See, if everything that, anytime you read where Jesus did something, like what it opens up with, he was moved with compassion. Mm-hmm. Wow. I was just feeling what he feels.
Yeah.
I was feeling the load of that person's need, and that's what moves us. So the first thing I did when I felt that coming on, I began to thank him
Yeah.
for allowing me to walk with him.
Mm. That's
I
good.
was in good company
Yeah.
and I was missing it. Now, does that remove my humanity? No, no, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we have to come up for air. You have to take a break. That's why when you work for companies and they put vacations in place, folks, take your vacation. You're not a hero because you're the one person at the office that won't leave. And everybody else is on vacation, and you let your time build up and it rolls over, and then you lose time because you're like, if a company gives you vacation time, they're actually paying you to not work. How did we miss that little benefit? I'm going to pay you to not come to the office, but I'm going to be the hero. No, because if I don't, this place will fall apart. Really? Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I don't want to take it. But what I'm saying is, in your purpose, you have to realize that when you walk with him, there will be times of refreshing, but there's going to be times you're going to feel that load. So I changed not the things I was doing. I changed the way I processed what I was doing.
Yeah. Man, that's
And the
good.
light came back on, and it just changed up. Did I answer your question, or did I take you on a rabbit trail?
I think we asked, "How is your day today?" And that's where we.
Oh,
ended. No, I'm
okay.
playing. No, that was really good. No, and I think that's a question a lot of people ask is, "What's my purpose? What am I here for?" All those kind of good things. And like you said, it's in that process. But I think it starts when we become real with where we're at, and starting to get quiet and start thinking. I think sometimes we don't even allow ourselves to go down that route of just being quiet and to think. And so, man, I thought that was powerful and good, and we can probably shut it off right there. But there's other things I would love to ask you about, Chuck.
Okay.
So, Chuck, you came up to Tupelo and you were doing a recording. By the way, at the time of this recording, this is a couple weeks before Christmas, and there's a ghost story you like to read about this time of year,
Oh, man.
and you've come up with some lessons, and you came up to actually record that. And so, actually, by the time this is out, those lessons may be out. So, can you give some brief tidbits on what in the
All
world you got going out?
Okay, here's what I've worked on at the well here at the studio. Oh, and thank you for letting me come do this.
Man, yeah, that's
Man,
good.
what a blessing. And if you need to do some recording, you need to call Cory. He has an amazing setup here,
There
and,
you go.
and he didn't tell me to put that plug there, but
This video is
but-
sponsored by. No, go for it, Chuck.
no, really, for years, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol has always been one of my favorite books. I have some books I call my annual reads,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to read them. That's just my thing. So especially this time of year, right after Thanksgiving, I'll pull them out. And so I get A Christmas Carol out,
Yeah.
and I love the literature of the time. I love the storytelling. I'm a story collector.
Yeah.
And
man.
I love storytelling.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there's something, my dad, and I'll get to that, but I got to give you a principle for this. All right. People say, well, man, how's all this stuff, where's this come from? Well, my dad taught me a principle about storytelling. And here's what he told me one day. He said, if you're going to tell about Gideon or any of the Bible characters that are in these battles, he said, and if the Midianites are coming in to attack and they're coming over the hills, they're coming to take their stuff, he said, you need for the people to get thirsty from the dust off the hooves of the camels.
Yeah.
Like you got to tell, like where you can, where you literally hear the thundering of the horses and the,
Yeah.
and so
Bring it to life.
I love stories.
Yeah,
So A
I'm with you.
Christmas Carol, I can read it and I see the imagery. I see all the, and then the moral of the story. See, you can go into the backlog or the backstory of why Dickens wrote that. What was really happening in the times. It was a cultural book. That was a modern book when he put it out, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this was a modern book. This wasn't years ago storytelling. This was, he opens up with Marley was dead to begin with. It opens up with let's set this fact. Jacob Marley was dead.
Mm.
And then it goes 7 years up, and here's Scrooge, and Marley's ghost is going to come visit him because he's forged some chains that bound him up. So I began to look at that story, and I've read it every year. And then I found, this was about 4, maybe 5 years ago, that an author by the name of John Clinch, he wrote the book Finn. I don't know if anybody's ever read Finn, but anyway, there's just, if you like novels, he's an amazing author. And so I found this book. He had written a book called Marley. And what he did, he took Charles Dickens' style of writing, and he wrote a prequel.
Mm.
All right, because Charles Dickens opens up with Marley was dead. What about Marley?
Yeah. Yeah. What's that?
So he wrote a book called Marley. And so I read it, and what it does, it gives the backstory of Jacob Marley and Ebenezer Scrooge and how they became partners.
Mm.
And then you realize when you're reading the book, when he refers to these chains that he forged in life, then you realize what these two actually did to create this.
Yeah.
They compromised, and they lost sight of their purpose. See, let's connect that dot.
Yeah.
All right. So their purpose as being skillful businessmen became self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
They just got all they were skillful businessmen, and their purpose was to add value to mankind. But it became self-serving.
Yeah.
It became it became abnormal use of their skill.
Yeah.
So I just took those two stories and I start reading them. And so this year, early on, I'm looking at it and I start connecting leadership principles,
Yeah.
positive and negative, I saw in their lives. And I was thinking like, well, what if I could just share what I see in this? If I read like what you have people like Belle, the story of Belle. All right. So she's a character in there just real short in a Christmas Carol. She was engaged to Ebenezer Scrooge. And she notices that as the more he grows in business, the greedier he gets, the more compromises he makes on his ethics and all those things. And she catches herself being cynical.
Mm.
And she realizes, I'm not going down that road.
Yeah.
So this is a lesson I pull out, that there are relationships in our lives and in your life. If there are relationships of people you care about, people you love. She loved Ebenezer. But she made a choice. I'm not going to go where you're going.
Yeah. I said, no, sir.
I'm not going to compromise my values, my morals, those things to go where you're going.
Mm.
And so here's what I pull out is there's going to be relationships. There's going to be people we love that we have to walk away from because they're holding us back. And here's the real principle when you pull out. When does it change from being cynical with that person or becoming an enabler of their behavior?
Ooh.
All right, now watch what's happening. If Belle stays with Ebenezer, then he has justification. He says, well, I can't be that bad because Belle loves me.
Yeah.
Well, I can't be that bad of a guy because she's staying with me. Well, it can't. Yeah, I'm not all bad because look, I mean, she still wants to marry me.
Yeah.
And so you have to decide, when am I becoming an enabler for this person?
Mm-hmm.
So it's lessons like that I begin to pull out and I looked at. So I just briefly condensed those into there's a process I call the 3 steps of the Belle process. That's in the video series. I highlight on that. I talk about Bob Cratchit.
Yeah.
Bob Cratchit, the father of Tiny Tim. God bless us, everyone. You know, we that line we hear in there. But here's Bob Cratchit, a man of faith, a man of integrity. He never wavered.
Mm.
And he worked for Scrooge.
Wow.
The meanest man in London. I mean, he's even described as, it says that the dogs that led blind men, when they saw Ebenezer coming, they would pull the blind man up into a doorway or up into an alley to avoid him.
No,
Even blind folks could avoid him.
come on.
And Bob Cratchit worked for this man.
Yeah.
So here's the lesson, folks. You're thinking, that boss I got, that's the jerk of all jerks. Or that company I work for, they are just this. And so if you're not careful, it begins to give you an excuse to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You can say, well, that's just how we run things around here. I really don't believe that in my heart, but that's how we. Or you can hold to your integrity. And Bob Cratchit, he showed up and he worked for Ebenezer, and he delivered on his duties because his integrity was intact.
That's right. Yeah.
But he also had a plan. It won't be this way forever.
Yeah.
See, you either going to set up an exit strategy or you will succumb to the way they do it. So anyway, it's lessons like that. I've just gone through and I pulled them out, and I think I have 5-6 lessons that I want to release, and you can watch the videos. And at the end of that will actually develop into a full course on these processes, help you discover your purpose, help you do those things, how to work with integrity, how to follow through, how to recognize the chains that you're developing. And there's some challenges in the video.
Come on.
I'm going to issue some challenges that will say that you identify one link. Just identify one link, and that's the link I'm going to break this week. I'm going to focus on this one this week. And there's a challenge in there. I'll say, you need to identify your Marley. Who's the Marley that's going to show up in your life and give you a warning that you will listen to? Not be offended, not get mad.
Who's going to be your Jeff Flynn?
Who's going to be your Jeff Flynn?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on today at the well. And
you know what? That's interesting. While you were recording that, I was actually I was doing some stuff up there. So I pulled out my Bible and started reading. I started reading in James, and James talks about being steadfast. And the latter half of James, he talks about we celebrate those who are steadfast under trials or whatever, and talk about some of the prophets. And I've been reading through Jeremiah, and that dude was steadfast. I've also been reading this book. It's called The Heavenly Man. You ever heard of that?
I have not.
Brother Yoon, he was with the underground church in China. And Kim and I went to a conference, and we heard him speak a couple years ago. And anyway, this is his story. And he talks about, severe punishment, severe beatings, and he was in prison, being beaten, being tortured, and he chooses to fast. And he talks about, when you hear his story, about what he says, I will never be like Judas. I will never disown my Jesus. I will never be like Judas. And it's like, that's steadfastness. That is steadfast right there. You talk about Tiny Tim's dad, like being steadfast. And it's just really encouraging. I'll tell one story in that, then we can move on. But I'm reading this story. He actually told this at the conference. He's in the maximum security, most highly guarded prison in China. And he had tried to escape. They caught him and they bashed his legs. He couldn't even walk. He had to be carried. And he gets this vision about the barred gates being open. And one of the other prisoners in there is like, Brother Yoon, I think you should try to escape. I just feel like the Lord is saying you should escape. And the Lord started pressing upon him that he should escape. And he said, today's the day. And up until this moment, he couldn't walk. Well, he asked somebody to take him to the bathroom, and he's in there, and basically the Lord says, the time's now. And so he begins to walk, and he finds a broom, and this first metal doors, like he said, it's on the 3rd floor, and it has to be open from the outside. Well, while he was going out, it begins to open. all of a sudden, and there's another prisoner coming in just at the perfect time. And so he just walks on by. And then he says he gets a broom. He notices a broom, so he just picks up the broom and he goes to another one. And he's got like 4 guards looking at this door. And he said, I don't know what happened, but they were looking right at me, but it's like they couldn't see me. And this door that's usually locked, it was just cracked open. So I pushed it open. And then he says, I go out into the yard, the prison yard, where there are guards up there who are told to shoot on notice. And anyway, he said, it's like they couldn't even see me. And he goes to the door and he goes through it and he gets outside. And as soon as he pulls outside, this taxi just so happens to pull up. This taxi just so happens to pull up, and he gets in and he says, where you want me to go? Take you. He's I've got some work to do. Can you take me to this address? And go as fast as you can. If you see a block, just go around it, get there as fast as you can. But anyway, just amazing
No
stories.
doubt.
And so I don't even know why. Oh, steadfastness. He was steadfast.
Yes.
I also posted this morning, you're talking about those little chains. I was thinking about this morning while I was working out. You know, truth is the foundation of all leadership. Trust is the foundation of all relationships, right? If you don't trust me, you're going to hold something back. And trust being the foundation of all leadership, I started thinking most people are pretty good with the big promises. They're pretty good at upholding those big promises. But it's those small, little, subtle verbal agreements that we tend to compromise on. And I started thinking about in Song of Solomon, it says it's the little foxes that ruin the vineyard, right? It's those little foxes, those little compromises where those chains like Ebenezer. He probably didn't start out that way. He probably started out in those little small things, which ended up being big things in the end, you know? And so, man, I thought that was good. Chuck, one other thing I'd love to ask you about.
Look, hold that.
Come on, you
hold
go
that
with
thought
it.
right
Let's
there, 'cause
go.
you
Let's
just
go.
triggered something
Yeah,
on
okay.
when you
Let me tee you up.
when you talk about the it's the little foxes.
Yeah.
When he was describing that, the little foxes that spoil the vine.
Mm-hmm.
I did some study, and I wish I could give credit to where I looked this up. But I did some study on that.
Yeah.
And when you break that down, here was the issue: those little foxes would dig burrows, and they would actually burrow up under the vineyard, and they would chew on the roots. So sometimes the vineyard was spoiled before they ever realized it, because the foxes, the little things, had attacked it at its root.
That'll preach.
Now so when you hear something like it's not walking up and seeing the grapes that are withered and you're wondering what happened, but he says those little foxes get on there and they chew on those roots. So it's your foundation. It's that thing you've got to guard at your core. Once you know your purpose, see, now that I know what I do, that is one of the most guarded parts of my life that there is.
Yeah.
Like you can't convince me that this is not what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I would be doing this that we're doing right now. This is why I am at a drive-through at McDonald's. Like when I meet that person, like I want to know what areas could I serve in their life. Not only, I'm not getting in their business, but understand I'm asking them questions.
Yeah.
What's their plan with their job? Are you moving up? What's this next step for you? I want to know about their life.
That's right, man.
Anyway,
take a genuine interest. Yeah.
So,
well, I know here. I know we got just a little time left, I think, but I wanted to ask you. You just recently got back from Israel, Chuck.
Man, son.
And what would you rate? How would you rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, Chuck?
Solid 10.
The solid 12.
It blows it out.
So here's my question. You hear people say as a believer, you gotta go to Israel. Why I gotta go to Israel, Chuck?
Why do you need to go to Israel? Because
I want to go. I'm just saying.
Here's the answer, and Brother John Turner taught me this. Well, I heard it, but then but he makes this statement: the message is married to the land.
Ooh, come on!
And until you set your feet in that land, then you realize when you get there, you realize this is true. Not that you doubt,
Yeah.
but the message is married to the land.
Yeah.
So when when you go, there were things that I encountered, not just the historical part, but the atmosphere.
So you can feel it.
See here in I want to go on a political. Let me say it this way.
You don't have to hold any bars. No, it just let it rip, Tater Chip.
Here's the deal. The promise of God is about the land, and He will defend His promise. You can say, well, do the people, do they deserve this or do they deserve that? It's not. He has. Just read the story. Just go back and read. If you say, well, what's a good book to read? Well, there's 66 I can name off the top of my head. But if you'll pick the first 5 and read those in the Bible, just read it and read that account, and you start watching what begins to happen, and then follow it all the way through with the kings and the chronicle and the prophets, all those things. But when you're standing there, you realize that the real issue is the enemy of God, is trying to defy His word. And His promise is, it's about the land. This is what He created. This is what He said. And when you're standing there, it's like, He means business.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you start walking through places, and there are characters you've read about in the Bible. And we had a wonderful, wonderful guide, leading archaeologist of Israel, Elisha Cron. I suggest anybody listening, looking in, whatever, you need to look up Elisha Cron, and just an amazing man. And he took us. I got to go on some active archaeological digs and sites that are off limit. They're not public access. Any of those things. It was so cool too. There was one. Okay, man.
Go for it, Chuck.
Look, man, I got to walk through Hezekiah's tunnel.
Wow!
If you read about King Hezekiah and the spring they cut the tunnels to bring the water through and all that, and there's this amazing thing, and Ellie's taking us down there. All right, so we keep working under the city of David, the archaeological digs.
You said something right there that you told me. I don't know many people. You mentioned the city of David and Jerusalem are 2 different places, right?
Well, you have the old city of Jerusalem, and you come right down the hill. There's the city of David.
Yeah, but whenever people talk about the city of David, it doesn't necessarily mean
the city of Jerusalem.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean it's all Jerusalem, but it's a separate city that they've discussed. There again, you can Google and look this stuff up.
Yeah.
But to actually be there, and you walk down through there with the archaeologists that have worked on it and pull this, and it's an experience you can't put words into. Wow. But I'm walking in there, and I got to go a couple of times. I went on a private tour, and I went with the group. And I got to go through there and experience some things. And the first time, I'll say it this way. There was some spiritual opposition that I encountered.
Look, you can say what you got to say on here, and we go deep, Chuck. I like to go deep anyway.
Well, there was some spiritual opposition. I was actually I was a guest. A beautiful friend of mine, Joe Glover, amazing man of faith, man of insight, and has a heart like you would not believe for Israel. And he invited me over. And I was actually part of some of the delegates that went from Washington over to be with the Knesset, which is like their Congress. Yeah. So I was invited as a guest. Yeah. Governor Yossi with Samaria and Jordan. Wow. And I just got to be part of that group. And so I went in with a private tour with them, and there was some spiritual opposition about me even being there. Yeah. For one, I have no financial coffer to support any kind of political PACs or anything like that. I have no political connections. I'm Pastor Chuck.
Yeah.
I'm a coach and leadership and developer guy, you know? I mean, and you wonder, well, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Well, there was some folks didn't want me there. And it became obvious.
Mm.
And so we're going down through the tunnels, and Joe comes over to me and he gives me some advice. He really gives me direction how to handle things. He said, I've got this, no worries on you. He said this, we're rolling. And he told me how to handle it. So we're walking through, and as the group was going, I kept lingering to the back of the group till I was the last one. And it was me, and then there was Joe, and there was this team of people. And I kept lingering back. And here's what I said. I was just praying. I said, Lord, what did I do? These folks don't want me. Like I'm warm and fuzzy, lovable me, you know? And you know how we're rationalizing things. And just not that I heard the audible voice, but just what he dropped in my ear. Because here's the thing, I'm thinking, well, these are all Christian folks.
Mm.
These are all, we're on this tour looking at this biblical stuff, and aren't we all supposed to be?
Yeah.
You get the picture.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I fall to the back, and here's what it just drops in. And I'm saying, Lord, we're all Christians. We all love you. What? And he's dropped in my head. He said, I came to my own, and they didn't receive me either.
Wow.
Just keep walking. They're literally like, okay, keep going. And as we went through, we had some meetings coming up. We had some high-level governmental meetings that I was going to get to sit in.
Mm.
And here's what else he dropped on me. He said, when I went before Pilate, I didn't say a word. Stay quiet.
Okay. I know my role.
I can handle that.
Yeah.
Now, when you know your purpose, you know, remember my purpose? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm created in his image. I represent him. I'm walking in that. And I was able to walk into rooms and sit down at tables with an authority that was not mine.
Mm.
After all that, I was talking with Joe, and he told me, he said, brother, he said, there are people that are wanting to know, who is that pastor from Mississippi? He said, your quietness exemplified an authority, and they don't know what you're about. They don't know what you can or can't do. They don't.
Wow.
He said, you commanded such a presence by what you didn't say.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in a political setting, there's people clamoring for position.
Jockeying for
Oh, I
the
mean,
stuff,
they are telling what all they can do for you. Well, if you get with me and I can hook you up with this and this. And he said, you just sat there. And he said, they're wanting to know, who is this guy, this pastor from Mississippi? And so I was able to walk through that and create an influence that was not mine.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was one experience.
Wow.
All right. So we talk about that. But I was talking about the tunnels of Hezekiah.
Yeah.
And walking through that water, knee deep. You know, it hit spots like, and you come out at the pool of Siloam, where Jesus had spit in the dirt and rubbed in a man's eye and said, "Go wash in that pool." And you're standing there.
Right there.
And it's like, man, this is just almost more than you can take in. And when I was talking about Ellie, you know, I want to connect this dot back as a storyteller. People are like, man, he forgot all about this Ellie guy. No, I'm going to get you there. I'm going to get you there. So we're walking by the pool of Siloam, and there's this tunnel you can go, and there's tours coming. There's people going, and we stop here, and there's this gate, and Ellie comes up, he unlocks this gate. He goes, no, we're going this way. Okay, so we start this way, and we start up through there, and look, there's conveyors on the roof with buckets of dirt where they're going out up on surface level, unloading dirt. I mean, they're working in here.
Yeah. And
we're walking through there, and he says, these are the steps of ascent. Of when you come out of the pool of Siloam and you had to go up the steps of ascent, he said, we're going to come out under the wall at the temple.
Wow.
Now, mind you, back then, it was all open air. It was not underground.
Yeah.
But they discovered these things, and they've been working on them for years. But he takes us through in the 5 Psalms of ascent that they would be singing while they were going through. And you're thinking like, well, Jesus and all these folks, this is right.
Yeah.
There's a sense that you get, not that the place, I won't speak some Christianese. I'm not going to say that the place is just anointed.
Yeah.
We like to use that church word.
It's got that oil on it.
But there is something about the place of where it is, because this is where it happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now to cut to it real quick, we get up there, we come out on the south wall. He brings us around up the steps, and there's all these interesting. He's explaining all these different things. You go there, and you look to your if you're facing it to your right, there's the Kidron Valley. And it's one of the lowest points of the Kidron Valley, and so the wall that goes around, that's the highest point because that's the lowest. There it is, and he makes a statement. He says, and that's the pinnacle of the temple right there. Mm. And I'm standing. I look up at it. This corner where the pinnacle. And it's where Jesus came from his 40-day fast out of the wilderness, and said Satan immediately came to him. Wow. Now watch this right here is where, if you fast forward everything else in the podcast, this right here is what you need to take away.
That's what you need to say.
This is what's going to happen. The first thing Satan attacked of Jesus was his identity. Yeah. See, we think he was tempting him to turn a rock into bread because he was hungry. The first thing he attacked him with was his identity. Yeah. If you are the Son of God, then you can turn this stone into a piece of bread. He attacked his identity. See, when we don't know our purpose, abuse is inevitable. When we don't know who we are, and there are so many identity trigger words today, it is a picture that the very identity of humanity is what's under attack. It's the same attack. It hasn't changed. It's the same principle as we attack the identity of what we're going to, who are we going to identify as? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I won't go down that road, but there's the principle, all right? It's the attack of the identity. And then when he takes him up to the pinnacle and he says, all this I'll give to you. And your standard Nelly says, that's where they were standing. Wow. Oh, man. It's such there's a spot that says, if he can overcome that by speaking, it is written. I have the same power, the same authority, and everybody listening in on watch, whatever the case may be, you have the same access. That if you abide in me and I abide in you and my words abide in you, you can speak. Yeah. See, there's an identity right there. That we can speak not about him, but we can speak his words.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So that was one. Now, the ultimate place.
Yeah, what's the ultimate?
The ultimate place. You can say, well, was it Golgotha? Was it the gates of hell? Because we were standing there. Upon this rock, I'll build my church. I stood right there. Wow. Was it up on the Mount of Transfiguration? All these are wonderful places. For me, it was the day we took a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. Oh. Brother.
So what was special about that?
I have not shared this publicly.
Okay. I was going to say, you didn't even tell me about this.
I have not shared this with our church. Yeah. Our, at Sandy Run.
Got an exclusive here on the Cory Lee Leadership Show.
Oh, man. I have not shared this. Oh. But here we go. I've shared it with family.
Yeah, yeah.
Before I went, there was a day we were.
You told me this. Yes, you told this just one-on-one. Yeah, yeah. Okay, go for it. I'm sorry.
Are we good?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good. I know where you're going now.
All right. Before I went, there was a couple of things. I was having prayer one day, our windshield time. We're on one of our calls. I'm talking. He said, "Well, ask the Lord, where have you brought you from?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing right now, and where are you taking me?"
Yeah.
And so I go through that process and that prayer, and I said, "Where are you taking me?" And what he just dropped in my heart was, "I'm taking you where you've already been."
I remember being on a phone call with you, and I didn't know what that meant as much as you.
I'm taking you where you've already been.
All right, that sounds good.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to this trip to Israel's been planned. I've never been. Maybe I've been in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, whatever. And then I've known, this is a saying I've had for years, that there's no place you can go that your faith has not preceded you.
Yeah.
Now that you have to think into that, but there's nowhere you can go that your faith has not already taken you there. And I'm like, okay, by faith, I've been some places.
Yeah.
Is this a spiritual thing? Is it metaphors? What's happening here? And so I'm thinking, when I get to Israel, that's it. I land in no great feeling of.
So let me ask you this. So as you're setting this up, is this in the back of your mind the whole time? Like you're okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm looking for where I've been.
Okay.
But believe me,
I didn't know if you got to the moment and then, this is that, or if it's kind of in your mind the whole time.
I was looking for it.
Okay. Gotcha.
I was looking for it.
Okay.
So every day I would do something. The invitation to the Knesset, meeting with the, like, is this it? Is this it? And it was all great moments, but it wasn't that moment. I kept waiting. It went on several days, and Capernaum, we went to Magdala, we went, we're going to all these different places. We go down to the Sea of Galilee, and we're there where he boarded the ship, and where Peter and all them, they've discovered the port, the actual port where they would have come in. It's not used now, but it's like, this is where they were like, okay, there's Gadarene right across there where he cast demons out, and you can see it across the Sea of Galilee, and you look down towards the other end, and at night you can see the lights of Tiberias on the hill. And it's like, these are just like, this is where it all happened. Wasn't the moment.
Yeah.
And so we had a day that we had booked a boat ride out on the Sea of Galilee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I guess you would say a Messianic Jew that owns 3 boats, does tours. He owns 3 boats called Faith, Hope, and Love.
Okay.
Wow. He's a worship leader, songwriter, all those things. So we go out on the boat, and we're on the Love Boat. And I kind of laugh because I look and it says the Love Boat.
The Love Boat. Okay.
And he says, well, my other 2 is Faith and Hope. So, we're on the best boat. Love is the greatest. So we're on the best boat.
Yeah.
And we go out on it, and so he starts leading worship music. And we're just worshiping on the Sea of Galilee. And we get out there, and he shuts the engine off, and we just stop. And we're just there, and we're just soaking that moment in. And I pick up my phone, and I go to, you're going to snap some pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And snap a picture. And it looked as familiar as anything I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain how familiar it looked. And there's where I heard the voice. This is where you've been.
Wow.
Now, there's a reason for that. Early in my ministry, and everybody may not understand this, but here's the only way I can explain it. There are times when I am preaching, there are times when I'm up ministering, that there is a moment. I have this saying that my family, those close to me, know what I'm talking about. But it will come out and I will say, I see the wave, and if I could step on it, I would. Now, what I'm explaining, in the spirit, I can be preaching, whether it's a church, auditorium, it's happened in different places. But the floor will actually have little ripples on it.
Yeah.
I can see it rippling. And when I was on the Sea of Galilee, it's exactly what it looked like.
Wow.
And this is he said, this is where I've brought you.
Yeah.
You've been here many times. And the next time you see it, it's okay to step on it.
Mm.
I don't mean I'm, go walking on water, but whatever that spiritual breakthrough is, he was just reminding me to trust him.
Yeah. Permission granted.
He said, the next time you see it, step on it.
Mm.
Because I've already walked here.
Wow.
And when it hit me so hard, I began to weep. And I would try to get myself together. When we got back to shore and they're unloading, we had to be on the bus, had to be other places. And I just got off to myself and I could not shake it. And I would look out at the water and I did not want to leave.
Mm.
I didn't want to leave. Like, there's no other place you can take me in Israel that I want to see more than this right here.
Wow.
So that was my moment.
Wow.
He took me where I've already been.
Wow, that's so powerful. I'm curious, Chuck, if you go back to some of those other moments, so, you've been talking about how you're preaching or you're at a conference or whatever, and you start to see the ripples. What if you can just go to one of those moments? What do you feel like the Lord was inviting you into in that moment?
Well,
and all of it's probably different, but if you can just pick out one of them.
In those moments, I think that's the time when he is really ready to minister to people in a direct way, not out of a sermon or something that I've written out to tell people or quote a verse, but to really speak in the lives. One of the first times that this ever happened, actually the first time it ever happened, I was very young. I was a youth minister. Okay?
Yeah.
I was invited to speak at a back to school youth conference. That was not a big conference. That's the word they used. You know how little small. It was a back to school service, but it was, and they had invited other churches and speakers. It was a decently thing, but it was anyway. As a youth minister, I always told folks I got to go speak at a conference.
Yeah.
And here's exactly what happened. And this is when you say, what do you think he's doing? I think this is the moment he invites me into either a word of knowledge or there's something about it's him about to minister. It's no longer me. Yep. I'm just the vehicle.
That's right.
So this happens, and I don't even remember my sermon. I have no idea. It probably was not that great, But I stepped down off the platform, and the place is, it is packed. And on the front row, there's these kids, and there's this little girl. She looked like maybe like a 5th, 6th grader.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just smiling. Yeah. Just had this beautiful smile. And I'm preaching. And I come back to her and I just stop. This is the weirdest thing I had never done, but it was this ripple.
Yeah.
And I didn't say I see that. It was just, I could just see this. I could just see this happening.
Yeah.
But I looked right at her and I introduced myself. I said, "Hi, I'm Chuck. I'm glad to be with y'all today. I'm really enjoying this. You are, and she's like, yeah, and she's just smiling. And school was getting ready to start. And so I told her, I said, I tell you what you need to do. When you get to school, walk in there and you smile just like you're smiling right now. Wow. Will you do that? And she's like, I'll do that. It's like, I said, what you're doing right now, so you're going to make a difference this year at school. Wow. It's a back to school service. Mm-hmm. I keep going. I just carry on. And I kept being drawn sort of like midway of the crowd. I just I would walk back there and I'm preaching. It's a youth service. You can get away with a lot of you can just go nuts. This was really back in the day. I got this white beard, so we're talking a while back. But and so there was this I kept being drawn about midway back, and on the right side there was a teenager looking guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know what grade, but just he was older than the kids on the front, and he's sitting there. And I looked at him and I said, I don't know what it is, but there's something when you get back to school, that health thing, there's something sports, whatever it is. I said, man, you're gonna be good. So you need some confidence that thing's holding you back. I said, you step in there like this is gonna be your year, man. You got this. That thing holds you back. Don't worry about it. You got it. I didn't know what it was. I'm thinking these folks are gonna think you're nuts, man.
Yeah.
And I come on back and I'm getting ready to wrap up. On the left side, about the third row, over towards the end of the pew down there, there was an older lady. And I just walk over to her and I said, ma'am, that thing you've been praying for, it's done today. It's handled.
Yeah.
No more worries. Now, this is the ripple.
Yeah. Yeah. You following the ripple.
You follow. Over with and done. We dismiss. They have food, man. They got all kinds of stuff going on. So I go out to the family center, whatever the thing that they have, and I'm getting something. We're in line, and the lady comes up to me and she says, "Sit down for a minute." So I sat down. She said, "You don't know who I am, do you?" I said, "No, ma'am. Am I supposed to?" And she said, I was one of your vacation Bible school teachers when you were little.
Wow.
And I just started laughing. I said, oh, Lord, I hope I was good.
Yeah.
Please let it be a good memory. Because, Chuck will go sideways.
Maybe it'd be one of them good times.
She just starts laughing. She says, yeah, she said, I know you don't remember me. She said, I'm just proud to see, where you're at now and all this. She said, but yeah, you came to vacate. And I apparently had gone to a vacation Bible school, and she was one of the teachers.
Wow.
And so she said, but here's what you need to know. My daughter has not been wanting to go back to school because she's so intimidated with bullying and all these things, and she's begging not to go back. And you walked over to her.
Wow. Wow.
And you told her, walk in her, smile with confidence.
Yeah. Come on.
She said, my son plays sports, he's football and all this, and he has extreme sinus infection. They didn't know what all they were going to do. And she said, I've been praying for both of them.
Wow. Come on.
I had no idea I was ministering to an entire family.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw ripples or waves.
Wow. Wow. So that's very personal between you and the Lord of him working through you, but also showing you who he's wanting to speak to and minister to. And wow, I love that.
So now you see when I was on that boat.
Yeah.
As soon as I took, and I have the picture.
Yeah.
Maybe if whatever you do, if you want to throw it in as a graphic, if I can get it to you.
Because apparently I'm looking up here and it looks like our video feed is shut down. And so what I may do, this is not going to affect you guys listening on Spotify and all that, but those listening on YouTube, I may just throw up that clip. If you send me that picture, I'll just throw up that on the back end. So anyway.
You said, what does that floor look like when he sees it? I'll show it to you.
Yeah, send that to me. We'll put it up there.
But it was literally when he said, this is where I've taken you.
Actually, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to make that our YouTube, the thumbnail. If you'll send that to me, that's going to be our thumbnail. It'll be a subtle meaning. That means you got to listen to the end. And if you listen to the end, say, I know what the thumbnail means.
So anyway, brother, and there's a lot, man. You're talking about, I was over there, I don't know, what was it, 14 days?
Yeah,
there are more things that happened, but if you ask me what was the moment, it was when he took me to where I need to be. And the last one, and we can save this for another time. I don't know what our time is. We've been going a while. But the other thing was, he said, I'm going to introduce you to the person that I've always wanted you to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to meet him.
Yeah.
And I kept wondering who I was going to meet, who was like the last day. The farewell dinner that the whole group was having, I was asked by my friend Joe Glover. There was a man that was coming by the hotel, and he said, will you break away from lunch? He wants to meet you, and I want to introduce you. And when I met that man, it hit.
Yeah.
I was not to meet him. this was the man
Mm-hmm.
that I was introduced to
Yeah.
by meeting him.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. What the Lord did inside of you and the revelation that came.
It was undeniable.
We'll have to make that a part 2, I think.
Part 2.
I think we'll have to do that, Chuck. Well, hey, Chuck, man, you've added a ton of value to me, and I know the listeners, and I know some of them maybe want to know where they can find your content. Maybe they want to reach out to you for coaching or leadership training. How do they get in touch with you, Chuck?
Easiest way to do it is you can just go to my website, Parish Leadership, and there's a little tab on there, contact. You fill that out, and it shoots me a note, and I will follow back up with you. That is the easiest way.
Okay.
Now you all the general things on if you're on Messenger, and you can find me on there or whatever. But it's Parish Leadership, Chuck Parish, any of those. If you're in the Hattiesburg area, Sandy Run Worship and Praise Center, 172 Sandy Run Road.
And are those messages streamed or anything?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right.
They are not. But
okay. Very cool. I just wanted to make sure if somebody wanted to listen. So the best way is to go to Parish Leadership.
ParishLeadership.com and just hit the contact tab and throw in your information there, and I'll follow up with you.
Awesome. Well, Chucko, man, I am glad that you came back and was on the podcast again.
My honor.
You opened it up, like you this was I was trying to think of the word that's going from me now. But anyway, you're the first one, you're the first one. We christened it, if you will.
And I broke the camera.
I think that was me. I think it got tired of looking at me, so the camera broke, but all good. Well, Chucko, thank you for coming, man. And thank you for your wisdom and just your experiences. And, make sure you follow Chuck. He's got a lot of good things, man of insight and wisdom, and carries such joy. And I highly encourage you to go out and look at his Charles Dickens ghost stories. I like how you said that. But yeah, thank you guys for taking a listen. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. And we hope y'all have a great day, and God bless.